So in closing, I just want to reassure all Texans that Texas is open for business. We've got some of the best business protection laws that any legislature in the state of Texas has ever had. We have extremely sophisticated case law, which means that our courts have tried business cases over and over and over again, which means there's a whole host of defined parameters that protect business owners in the state of Texas. There are caps on certain types of damages and caps on certain types of liability that also protect business owners. And you should be reassured about doing business in Texas. But remember, again, don't allow your business to go into default. Report twice on May 15th, public information report and tax report. Franchise tax report, public information report. There will be a video showing the websites and how to accomplish these tasks attached to this video series that I hope you will find helpful. But again, you should remember that this is a state that wants business, that has a robust economy, that going back over 25 years has done a great deal of work to develop and make this a booming economy, an economy that continues to grow year after year. So be assured that your business interests are protected. You don't need to incorporate in other states. If you decide you do, also remember that you need to register that foreign entity with the Texas Secretary of State, because it's a foreign entity doing business in the state of Texas. Even if you live here, you incorporated it in Nevada. That's a foreign entity doing business in the state of Texas. If you didn't register it, it's almost as if, poof, you have no corporate veil. So another thing to remember is if your corporate entity does lapse, and this is the last thing I'll close on, if your corporate entity does lapse, make sure you reinstate it at the beginning of whenever you know that it has lapsed. Usually that's at the beginning of a lawsuit. So if a corporate entity lapses and then there's some liability issue that came up from the time when the entity lapsed, or before the entity lapsed, hopefully, where your personal assets are not at risk, you can reinstate that entity, but you need to do so promptly and quickly, because ignoring that and letting that not be cured puts your corporate entity aside. The corporate veil is put aside, and your personal assets may be at risk depending on what assets you own, especially non-exempt assets like cash, gold, fine jewelry, art, etc. And then the other thing that I'll close on is that a corporation cannot be represented by its owners individually in the state of Texas. A corporation cannot be pro se. So even if a corporate entity is sued in justice court, JP court, in a small county in Texas, you'll have to lawyer up and get a lawyer to appear on behalf of that corporate entity. That's usually not a big deal. But just remember, a corporation cannot respond to a lawsuit in its own name. It has to be represented by counsel. So it has to have an agent represent it. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're in good standing. May 15th, 2 reports.